segue, but surely you're familiar, as I'm sure all of your listeners, both live and replay, are aware of the TikTok ban that's
Yeah,
making all the headlines, that Trump is TikTok and WeChat and something else, I think, um, that everyone's making a big fucking deal about. And especially China is making a big deal about. This is a blatant, smash and grab, or, they've said all kinds of just absurd rhetoric. But what people don't seem to remember, and I apparently am old enough to, and you probably are as well, but Google is banned in China. So is Facebook. So is several other American-based tech social media companies. They're banned. You can't use them. Period. You know what I mean? Or they have modified versions that aren't what they, you know what I mean? They're that are catered to the Chinese Communist Party, and they're. I remember that being a thing for Google. Do you remember that? Like back in, I don't even remember how fucking long ago it was.
yeah,
It seems like
I remember reading about that. Well, and and that's the whole thing. If we want to talk technology real quick, that's that's the whole discussion too with China's stealing intellectual property and whatnot, and basically like making clones of you know
everything,
of
literally
everything.
everything. Which is fucking a shame, and almost it's actually kind of pathetic, because China and just the Asian uh, sector of the world historically, whether we're talking about like the telescope or gunpowder and fireworks and shit, like there's been so many amazing actual things created in that region of the world. And that's one of the arguments made nowadays, like, well, the Chinese have always been great at inventing things. Well, for the last 75 years or so, that's not been the case. They've literally stolen everything, and they don't even hide it, man. That's another thing you can find tons of evidence for, but you don't hear about. It's You have to kind of dig for. Um, excuse me, sorry. Uh, oh Jesus. Um, the Whether it's apps or they did this thing with the Humvee, the military Humvee, years back, where
Oh,
they
oh yeah, I saw
I mean,
that.
you familiar with that? Yeah. Yeah, I forget the exact specifics, but they effectively tricked fucking the American military and the Humvee Corporation into sending them everything they needed to reverse engineer the Humvee, and then they just fucking remade it. They didn't make it look different. They didn't fucking design it. I mean, fucking, it's exactly the goddamn same vehicle. And oh yeah, China just happened to invent this same thing. It's all the same components and does all the same shit. It's just nobody cares, because I believe it was Nixon's approach. That well, no, it wasn't even Nixon. It was, well, maybe it was just like let's treat them with, um,
Kid
we'll
gloves.
give them the yeah, yeah, kid gloves. We'll give them the respect, and that, with the freedom and free trade and the economy, that they'll inevitably come to freedom, the side of America and the side of just greater freedom and humanity in general, and capitalism, rather, to put a finer point on it. And that was just the assumption, and that was, I think that was in the, I don't remember, in the 90s, I think, when the um well, no, I think it goes as far back as Nixon. But so that's just been the presumption all this time. So while China fucking or the Chinese Communist Party has been harvesting organs from minorities and persecuting minorities to the level, a certain group of people from Europe back, 75 years ago or so, were supposedly subjugated to a greater degree, a far greater degree than is even claimed by anyone. Um, Nobody even knows about it, and nobody talks about it because, well, maybe they'll maybe free trade and treating them like grown-ups, even though they're obviously not. I don't know. I'm losing my analogy here, but you kind of get what I hope you get what I'm coming from.
No, I
Or what
get
I'm
where
trying to
I
say.
get where you're coming from, and I'm kind of rambling here too. So so
Mm.
don't feel too bad. But what I will say is I think because one of the things that people have said is, well, can't like Trump just go over there and make like a big speech like Reagan did with Russia, where it's like tear down this wall. And the thing of it is no, not really. Although that would be hilarious considering that China has the Great Wall. But the thing about Russia was Russia had Gorbachev, who back during the 80s was basically the one member of the of the party in Russia who was saying, okay, this communist stuff, we've been trying it since like 1900, and it since like 1915, and clearly it's not working. So Russia had Gorbachev, and I'm not sure if the Chinese have their Gorbachev.
They might. That's another thing that doesn't get a lot of press. Because the one thing that everyone that I follow, either on YouTube or in quote unquote print, be it Epoch Times or extensions of that on YouTube, is that the Communist Party has always been about face, which is why they've gotten away with what they've gotten away with for so long, because they play the narrative game, they play the diplomatic game, they know how to manipulate, especially America, but the West in general, with the rise of you know um, what is it called? God damn it! Like what did Jordan Peterson call it? Fucking identity politics. The rise of identity politics and shit. They right into it, dude. They have we have fallen right into it as I mean it's a tactic like right out of fucking Sun Tzu. Let the enemy destroy itself,
Yeah.
kind of thing. You know what I mean? And if they have the ability, and let alone a literal military branch dedicated to subversion on the internet, where most of America and the West gets its entertainment and its news and all of its media, if they can influence that to a wide degree, and you know what, to a greater extent, the universities where young people learn about the world, and they can subvert those young people in the West as to what's actually happening. You add all of that up, and it makes a lot more sense than any other narrative that I've heard for the last several years. And I feel really dumb for not noticing it sooner, but
It's
I can't really fault myself, because it's almost impossible to find. You really have to go looking, and you have to know what you're looking for.
interesting that you mentioned the universities, because my very best friend from childhood, who I've known since kindergarten, he just graduated recently from CU Denver with a political science degree. And I guess like right around the time he was graduating, one of the professors there, it wasn't one of his professors, but I guess someone on the campus, or like he knew a student who knew a professor who was, I guess, arrested by like the State Department, basically for like trying to spread Chinese propaganda
Yeah,
through.
being on the Chinese Communist Party payroll. That's happening all fucking over the country, dude. That's why the Houston consulate was shut down, because it was literally, I mean, in Mike Pompeo's words, a den of spies. Literally, like all they were doing was recruiting and subverting and paying people off. I mean, they're, you know, dude, we could go on China for fucking ever because they're one belt, one road initiative or whatever, which is just a massive debt trap scheme that they've already caught several countries in. But it's not going to work. That's part of the reason that I think they're fucking that Iron Curtain's going to come down. They're spreading too thin, and God is dropping natural disaster after natural fucking disaster. And thank the Lord, Donald Trump is in the office, and for as long as he's left, he's fucking putting his foot down on the throat, and it's waking people up, other politicians, namely. I mean, because China has become kind of a bipartisan issue. Almost, I mean, maybe not on the Nancy Pelosi level, but pretty much across the board, across the country, there are, you know, people are going, holy shit. That wait a minute, what? They're doing what? You know, so
What?
yeah, I think we're witnessing a sea change, and which is again why I'm confident that I keep calling it the Iron Curtain, but it's, you know, in the 80s it was like it was a flip of a light switch that, you know, communism fell across the world, across, especially across Europe and Asia and stuff. It wasn't just, you know, communist of the Soviet Union. It was, you know, several other subsects. It was like fucking overnight, and then the wall fell shortly after, and again the whole world saw the horrors that lay behind, that were hidden, and that was before the age of mass information control, which we are in now. So I think we're in for a much ruder awakening when that veil drops this time than we
Well,
were
it's
even back then.
well, it's interesting that you say that because I've said I said like in 2017 after Trump got elected the first time, like that 2017 was going to be the start of the 1980s for us, and that we're kind of reliving the 1980s right now, and it's kind of strange because in a couple ways we are not just politically. I mean, politically, in a sense, I guess, yeah, we are, but also like pop culturally too. Like a whole bunch of like, you know, cheesy 80s style action movies like John Wick are, you know, starting to come back into popular culture, and you know, Vapor, kind of the whole Miami Vice thing and that kind of whole 80s Vapor style is kind of coming back into, you know, play with meme culture a bit. So it's interesting, and I bet if Trump gets reelected, we may have a tear down this wall moment here before, you know, before the next you know,
Yeah,
before this
that's
decade
kind
is
of my
out.
that's kind of my point for, or well, maybe not my point, but that's kind of my greater point is, um I don't know, man. I have less confidence now than I did in 2016, and I was less political in 2016, just overall, than I am now about Donald Trump and his reelection. Even though fucking Joe Biden, like, how anybody can take that seriously. But you know, I watched that. I don't know if you watched that interview with who was, I think it was Vice. Was it that Vice interview with that fucking like British sounding dude that was grilling Trump on the COVID numbers recently? Did you see that or no?
Uh, I saw. I didn't see the interview itself. I saw some. I mean, I am going to
Some
watch it.
clips.
I saw the memes that people were making of it on YouTube before
Yeah,
I saw the actual
yeah.
thing.
I mean, I haven't seen. I don't know how long the interview is, but I watched like a 10-minute thing, and it did seem edited. So I don't know how accurate it was, but it definitely didn't look great. But you know, it's a little subpar even for the Trump course, because in my opinion, the dude says he puts his foot in his mouth a lot. He says a lot of dumb shit. But it's not. I don't care what he says. I care what he does. You know, his public persona means fucking jack shit to me. What matters to me is the policies that he cares about and the policies that he passed, which I think that most Americans that support him are kind of on the same page. I think you would agree with that. Um, I would think anyway. Do you disagree with that?
No, I would totally I would
Oh,
totally agree with that. So,
okay, good.
um,
But yeah, no, so I mean, but you know, he's kind of he has been floundering, man, and it's not. I don't think it's his fault. Generally speaking, the fucking dude has not been given a chance. I mean, fucking Saddam Hussein and Barack Obama, Barack Obama, Osama bin Laden.
uh,
Holy shit! Fucking Freudian slip. Holy shit! No, Saddam Hussein and Osama bin Laden combined didn't get more negative press than Donald Trump has in the last 4 years.
well,
That was fucking good.
hey, that was one of the funniest accidental, slips on the show, and I mean, I'm not entirely unconvinced though that Obama wasn't a terrorist. So, um, uh,
Oh Jesus Christ, man! I almost died just now. Um, but
eh,
yeah, no, that's another interesting chart. If you look at like the positive versus negative coverage of Barack Obama versus Donald Trump, even though you know during Obama's presidency we had things like Benghazi and the birth of Black Lives Matter and police officers being murdered in Dallas and you know various other things. I mean, the police officers, I guess, isn't really fair because, but the things that happened as let's see, an American citizen murdered by drone, um, a wedding of innocent people murdered by drone. You know what I mean? None of that
yeah.
shit's happened under Trump, but you didn't get any you didn't get any of this negative press. You got some of it from Fox News,
Well, I
I
mean,
guess, but
also that was when Edward Snowden basically, I mean, I remember
yeah,
I remember I got a lot of backlash because I actually kind of admired Snowden, for basically coming out at the time and admitting what we all knew, which was that the government was spying on us. So, um, now, I mean, to kind of criticize Trump a bit, I will say that I wish he would have a little bit more of a backbone against, like, Fauci and whatnot, and some of these. It kind of
well,
seems like in regard to COVID, Trump has. Well, let me just put it this way: I I think if I don't think if Trump were facing re-election, I think if this had happened during the second term, I think Trump would be like, yeah, no, Fauci, you're not gonna be, telling me what to do in regards to the whole COVID thing.
I don't know, man. I do feel like he's beaten down. I really do. But one of the things that really bothers me about the people, both IRL in real life and on the internet that I talk to, is that are, you know, either tacitly or, uh, you know, profoundly Trump supporters, is you know, Trump derangement syndrome goes both ways, and this is something that's been bothering me lately. Is some of the people that I respect that I like, if I bring up issues that I have with either his behavior or his rhetoric, it's like a knee jerk. I get a knee jerk reaction, even though I'm like on their side, but I'm just expressing like, you know, I don't, man, I don't think this is a good idea. I can't think of like a specific example off the top of my head, but well, again, the masks. I guess I was actually leaning. I was hoping the motherfucker was going to pass an executive order saying companies couldn't force employees to fucking wear masks. Um, Customers I get, because again, having worked with customers in various forms for many years, and having a public bathroom, it's like people are fucking disgusting. You can't control the people that come in to shop. You can ask them to put a mask on, but you can't force them. But the people that work for you, there are many, many, many safer, more effective ways you can protect the people that work for you, other than making them breathe their own breath for 8 hours a day. So when he comes out and says, wear a mask, whether you like it or not, and then follows that up with Ghislaine Maxwell is, I wish her the best. That's kind of,
Yeah, that
you know what I
was.
mean? That's kind of, you know what I mean? That's not great. And, if I want to express that, again, some of the people that I respect are like, wow, you, yeah, but the Democrats, man, but the Democrats, well, fuck, we're not talking about the Democrats, God damn it. Like, of course, you know me well enough to know how I feel about the Democrats and what they're doing generally across the fucking country. But that's not what we're talking about. It's not about and another argument that keeps being made to me that really bothers me is the lesser of two evils argument, which has been made, I think, in politics for fucking ever. Like, oh yeah, pick, no matter who you're electing or who you're voting for, you're picking the lesser of two evils. And I just don't like that fucking mentality, man. Because
I mean,
less evil is not evil. God damn it! Like, you shouldn't be okay with evil because it's less evil than more evil. And being complete. And if that's how you actually feel about what's going on, then you're a fucking pussy. And you need to change. You need to either move to the woods and, extract yourself from society, or do something about it. Say something about it. Talk to people about it. Do something to change it. Don't just fucking sit and go, no, I'm not fucking voting because, or, yeah, I voted for fucking Biden because I hate Trump, or I voted for Trump because fuck the Democrats. Yeah, I mean, if you can't have a coherent thought about these things, I feel like that's the real danger of the internet, man. Like the pack mentality is pushed so much further out than it is, for in real life interactions. You have to interact with people to create a cult, and I hate when you bring them up, but I have to do it now. That's exactly why I have been bothered so much by fucking Owen, because he's using the internet, and has been for years now. He's using it for its worst possible